Happy Wednesday, algoriters and Sonia Young. What's going on? I'm in Washington, D.C. And baby, Washington, D.C. is cold. And when I say cold, I mean cold. I sneezed today and I think little chips of snow. Man, I missed chips of snow out of my nose. Anyway, all right, everyone, welcome to Celebrity Court, the show where fame meets the scale of justice and no headline escapes our gavel. I'm your host and judge, Al Reynolds, and tonight, baby, we're tackling the most controversial, career-altering, and jaw-dropping stories of the week. Donald Trump is back in the spotlight, and I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. This time, freezing government by diversity initiatives, taking aim at birthright citizenship, and sparking free speech debate. And these bold moves to fix the system, are these bold moves to fix the system, or are they dangerous overreach? Chris Brown, yes, you heard me correct. Chris Brown is fighting back. He's suing Warner Brothers for $500 million in a defamation battle that could redefine his career, while the Florida Gators are reeling from sexual assault allegations against assistant coach Taurine Green. Oh, man, poor Rihanna's husband, rapper A$AP Rocky, is gearing up for his felony gun charge trial, rejecting a plea deal and fighting for his freedom. Meanwhile, wildfires are devastating Los Angeles still. Nope, it's not over, leaving even celebrities like Oprah and Jeff Bezos homeless. And to close tonight, Deshaun Watson, oh my goodness, Deshaun, how do you do this? Of the Cleveland Browns is stirring TikTok drama after a video of him walking without a boot raises questions about his health and his guaranteed $92 million contract that could soon, yep, you heard me, could soon go away. All right, everybody, so grab your gavel because tonight we're not just talking about justice, we're questioning it. All right, let's get started. First up, it seems like because this is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, we're going to be talking about this man for quite a bit. First up, Donald Trump has launched a series of executive orders that are rocking the nation. He's placed all U.S. government diversity staff on paid leave, effectively freezing their work. Critics call it a dangerous step backwards for inclusivity, while Donald Trump claims it's cutting bureaucracy. He's also reigniting the birthright citizenship debate, issuing an order that could challenge constitutional rights for children born in the United States. And finally, a free speech order that some argue may silence dissent rather than protect expression. All right. So let me ask you, algoriters, is this about reform or is this about abuse of power and stripping away fundamental rights? We're going to jump right into this because the question I want to know, and I'm going to throw to you first, Jason, is does freezing, because I could, well, not, that's not true. It's not that I could care less about the rest. The one that is the most offensive to me is freezing diversity programs opening, does the freezing diversity programs open the door to discrimination lawsuits? I'm going to throw this to you, Attorney Jason Weiss.
I'll be honest. What this man is doing and what he is trying to put out there is, we were supposed to come together as a country, and I think he's just pushing the further divide. Sending these workers home, freezing. Yeah, they're getting paid to not work for now, but I'll use that word for now, right? How long is that going to go? So now we have people that could help this country, help us bring it back, make it better, all of these great things. No, go home. We'll pay you for, who knows, a day, a week, a month, and then bye-bye. And, oh, by the way, the DEI programs that we're putting out there, those are going goodbye too. And I'm going to give you this list of 200 executive orders, and we're going to do them all. And like Attorney Carter said last week, earlier in the week on the show, Trump can say whatever he wants. Doesn't mean it's gonna be in effect.
This is what's upsetting me. Why would you even put out into the universe like this? I feel is more of a PR stunt, not a stunt because he's actually making it happen, but he's putting out a very loud announcement, or he's making people know very clearly that diversity has no space under his presidency for the next 4 years, and he could give a shit about it.
And you're absolutely right. That's what he's saying. It's and look, you could debate this forever and ever and ever, and there's going to be differing opinions. Look, the person who is most qualified should get the job. I don't care if you're black, white, green, purple, you have long hair, short hair, facial hair, transgender, it doesn't matter. If you are the most qualified person, you get the job.
Well, I have to push back on you on that, counselor, and I don't know if the other counselors feel this way about me, but that's not what this is about. This is about equal representation and equal access, in my opinion, as it relates to diversity initiatives. We can't be the best, even though we have to be 2 times better to get in these rooms, but we can't be the best if we haven't had access to being the best for over 100 years. Diversity makes sure that we have representation, forced representation at minimum, in my opinion. Y'all jump in, but this is how I feel. Diversity makes people who are not diverse understand the importance of diversity, and otherwise they wouldn't. And so when you force them to take on the initiative to make sure someone brown, someone black, that a woman, that an Asian is in the room, it makes the entire company more profitable, more sensitive to the customer client base in general. So for you to take that out, to extract that out, doesn't even make sense to me business-wise, in a business model. Attorney Carter, Turner, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, go ahead, Attorney Turner, please.
I think this is a really complicated issue to unpack. So the first thing that you pointed out is, what message is President Trump trying to send the nation? And it's the message that you indicated. He's trying to, it was a grand gesture to say, look, on my watch, things are going to be different. And the executive order that he passed, if you look at the message from the White House, it's entitled Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity. And so on the face of it, he's creating a narrative that somehow there's been rampant illegal discrimination against
white people.
Right? And that there has not been merit-based opportunity because of these DEI programs. And so because he's got the podium, that narrative has taken root in a way that it just is not true, because the problem that he's trying to solve really doesn't exist. Because if you look at the employment statistics, it's not an overwhelming presence of people of color and women who are taking all the jobs from white men. That's just not true. But if you're trying to make America great again, then you want to promote this image of the oppressed white man to galvanize them into believing that somehow things have been stolen from them. And then the fact that he called it Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity also lets you know that he's going to keep playing the drum that there's been this pendulum that has shifted too far. Interestingly enough, one of the executive orders that he rescinded was passed in 1965, right? 1965 was at the height of Jim Crow, right? And he's saying that now in 2024, even though Lyndon Baines Johnson, who signed it, was not like a bastion of progressiveness, right? That no, he needs to overturn what LBJ did, because we have a problem with diversity. Now, in all candor, and I'll give Attorney Carter a chance, I will say this. As an attorney who works in this space, I think some of the DEI programs went too far in what they were saying, because they were run by people who didn't understand the law. They were mouthing off about inclusivity in a way that wasn't supported by the existing laws. And I think that allowed this fiction to be perpetuated. But the one bright spot in what he passed, like, it's over for the federal government. Those people who went home, they are never coming back to do those jobs. And so they need to find something else to do. Now, as it relates to private companies, he does at least say, hey, I have to support the Civil Rights Act of 1964 because it's the law of the land, and there's no way there's going to be a congressional amendment of that, right? And so there is still hope that you can prove cases based on discrimination.
Why do we have to rely on hope? I'm so
no, and by the way, there's little hope. And let me explain, because one of the things that Attorney Weiss just said, and I think applies to most of his executive orders, but not this one. Most of Trump's executive orders are ridiculous. We're going to talk about them. But this one, he actually has the power over. One, as a president, he has the ability to direct the federal workforce. That's his baby. Right. He's the CEO of the U.S. government. So all this stuff he just signed absolutely goes into effect. No chance. In addition to that, while he has this one order that says we're not going to have any diversity hiring in the federal government, he also directed all of his department heads to come back to him and find out their private companies that are using DEI, and to see if there's a way to get to them through the case that was decided just 2 summers ago, the affirmative action case in colleges.
Now, what I've noticed is all of my friends in the DEI space are getting their pink slips, and they're getting their pink slips under this auspice that, you know, big corporations no longer have to feed into it. The stockholders are saying that it's not necessary, following the leadership of the president, and they're getting rid of it. They're getting rid of them. They're getting rid of them in law firms, the DEI specialists. They're getting rid of them in corporations. I don't understand how you can say that it's reverse racism when you still sit in a corporate boardroom and there's only one other person that doesn't look like you.
Right. But
it's only one other Black person in that boardroom these days. In these major corporations, it's still maybe two Black people, and it's usually women. Maybe 2. So I'm just so confused. But this is my question before we move on. We're not moving off of this, but back to you, Attorney Turner. I want to know, how can you say, all right, what is it? 1,000 employees are affected by this, I think.
No, thousands.
Thousands.
Okay, thousands of employees are affected by this. How can you just wake up one day, work for the federal government, be vested, and then a president say all of a sudden, okay, everybody, you're fired, you're out of here?
Well, that's why he didn't say they were fired. That's why he didn't say they were fired. That's why at 5 o'clock today, they went home and they're getting paid because nobody knows how this is going to work. They have to look at their individual class levels in the federal government, to your point, see what they're entitled to, see what they're vested in. You know, the federal government is a place back in the days to say, go work for the federal government.
Yeah, because that's a retirement. Right? Yes.
Right. So they're going to have to figure out what these folks are going to do. You know, maybe they're all going to work for Elon Musk in efficiency. Because just because they're not going to be working in diversity.
Elon Musk doing a Hitler salute. He's not having any people of color in his executive board to help him.
You know, if you want to look at that helpfully, there is that option that you're going to have these couple thousand people who used to be big into diversity and inclusion. It's very difficult for the federal government to fire someone. You have to bring them up on sort of a disciplinary thing. You have to basically prove that they messed up. You got to have several reviews, bad things like that. So those people are going to have to go somewhere. If they go somewhere else,
right?
They might be able to sort of infect, right, the culture unofficially, right? So you were the DI specialist, you go over to Elon's group, you know, you might be able to sort of have some influence. Hopefully, that's the best you can hope for.
So but I gotta tell you now. Let me go back. Hold on, guys. Let me go back to my resident white lawyer here. Attorney Weiss, I don't want you to get
Sean's the resident white boy.
I don't want Jason to step out of this conversation, because this conversation is very important to hear.
You got to remember, Al, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, so I know. my entire neighborhood was, you know, there was no majority in my neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. You look across the street, you look down the street, so that's where I grew up, and that's what I'm used to in my life.
So let me ask you this question, Jason, for people that look like you, that don't come from those diverse backgrounds like yours, what's the problem with seeing diversity in your workforce beside you? What is the issue? What is let's just play devil's advocate. What's the claim on the other side of reverse racism? If we look at the DEI numbers, they're alarming. They've only helped corporations 3%, like 3 to 5% maybe, and that's on the positive side. Tell me what it is that your cohorts are arguing. We took 1 seat, we took 2 seats in the corporation. You got thousands. Like, what's the problem?
I think it's looking at the self. I got passed over for the promotion because somebody less qualified than me that checks a box or 2 or 3 got the job. I mean, look, here in South Florida, I get it a lot because a lot of the opportunities for teaching, for going ahead and being in a classroom, for part-time work, must be fluent in Spanish. I'm not. Shot down immediately. So
you can't, as a white person, it's illegal for you to learn Spanish. You couldn't learn Spanish.
I can learn it. You don't have that skill set.
Right, but that's a skill. Everybody can learn that. You don't have to be white or black or orange. You could be purple and learn Spanish.
Understood. But I'm not saying it's my. He asked me. Other of my peers and other people. Right. I think it's look.
Right, I need to know what job says no whitey allowed. All right, because otherwise it's just race. And here's the thing about, we keep saying like, I want the most qualified person.
There is no such thing as the most qualified person. Actually, you have to. That's
the point that
Attorney Carter, you have to. Attorney Carter, you have to come to South Florida. He's right. There are certain pockets in South Florida that if you're not Spanish, you're not getting in. You're not getting in black. You're not getting in white. You're not getting that job. I want to read this.
There are signs in Spanish, not even English. The signs are in Spanish.
But that's not a racial thing.
Hold on. Everybody, hold on 1 second, please. I want to read this comment. Sonny Clark says, so Jason, you're the DEI hire here.
Hey, you know what? You're
the DEI hire here. Okay.
Your Honor, one of the things you have to point out from what was posted by the White House today goes directly to your point in terms of the pernicious nature of what they're trying to promote. What they said was that illegal DEI and DEIA policies, the A stands for accessibility, so they're going after the disabled too, not only violate the text and spirit of our longstanding federal civil rights laws, they also undermine our national unity as they deny, discredit, and undermine the traditional American values of hard work, excellence, and individual achievement in favor of an unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoils system. This system that they're talking about does not exist. And so but you have to perpetuate the fiction in order to sell the concept to people who have been sold diversity for over 40 years. Right. So this is the message that's going to have to keep coming out. The other thing is, 1 second, Attorney Weiss, is, in my opinion, talking to people on both sides of the fence, it's not just the individual experiences of a white person who believes that they lost something to someone of color. It's the rumor, right? It's the urban legend that somehow there's all these unqualified Black people and people of color who are getting into elite colleges, stealing their positions, taking their jobs, getting the keys to the kingdom, living fat on the hog. And back in the day when my grandfather was coming up, you just had to work hard. And by nature, those people couldn't have worked as hard as I did because they don't look like me.
Right.
Well, the other thing that what Trump did as a bigger smack in the face here is that all of these people that were furloughed or were frozen or sent home to be paid, they cut their work email. So you can't even try to work. You can't even, do whatever it is. So basically you're being punished by, hey, go home, work, work from home. We'll figure it out. But, oh, by the way, we're cutting your email too. Come on. Every single person, you need to go find a new job because unfortunately,
this is not going to be good. So let me, before we rotate off of diversity, I just want to ask this blanket question. When people of color who have voted for Trump see these type of executive orders, even the birthright executive orders, which we're going to rotate to next. What is going through their mind? It's like, what is going through their mind? What
they voted for? I mean, think about it. It wasn't like Trump made any of this a secret.
What are they going? What is going through your mind when you say he's done more for us than any other president has ever done? How? Like,
because these people don't see themselves as the rest of us. All right. If you know, these people who voted, black people who vote, you know, the 10% of black men, they would think of themselves as, well, it doesn't apply to me. I get my job from merit. It's these other lazy brothers that getting their stuff free. Same thing with the immigrants, right? It's like, if you were undocumented, you didn't think it applied to you, but the other people, you know, you didn't care about. And it's the same thing here. And let me just say one thing about the whole best person for the job thing. That's a myth. In America, all right, all things being equal, people hire who they like.
That's
all
right.
Things being unequal, people hire who they like. All right. There is no such thing. Think about it. What qualifications could you have for most jobs? Every job I've gotten, most of them now, especially as I'm old, is going to be because I know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And more often, the best jobs I have are the people who know the best people, and the best people, or the people with the best jobs, are white people. So most people getting their jobs are getting their jobs on a hookup, and most of the hookups are going to white men, and they're sitting there mad because two brothers got a job because they opened a spot up.
Because you went to school with one of them, or that you golf with one of them, or that your kids
exactly.
To Attorney Carter's point, it doesn't have to be that direct, right? I'm a lawyer. I worked for two, white shoe law firms. The law is the last bastion of white male privilege. They would ask in interviews what people did during the summer. It's not because they were summering with them. It's because if they did the same kind of activities that they thought were middle class, then that made them the right kind of person to work there. They asked no questions about what their grades were. They didn't ask them about a constitutional law principle, right? They wanted to talk about how they spent their time. And so when you talk about the barriers to entry for people of color and Black people in particular, there aren't a ton of us in the country club, so they couldn't have that conversation. Hopefully, if you were a brother, you knew how to play basketball, so you could sell yourself that you fit a stereotype, right? And if you were a Black girl, hopefully you were cute. If you ever want to see some beautiful women, go look at women who work at law firms who are Black. You had to be pretty in order to get hired because that was your currency. Don't get me started on this myth of meritocracy. It does not exist.
It does not exist. All right, let's rotate real quick because I know we can stay on this for a complete hour. We might need to come back.
So where do I come in as a poor Jew from New York? I mean, that's my question.
Really? That's the thing, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're poor Jews. You gotta get canceled.
I grew up in a one income family. My dad was a respiratory therapist, and that's what it was. And again, I lived in Brooklyn, so it was. I'm gonna
ask you this, resident Jew, man. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because
not from your lips.
You and I've been friends for over 25 years. How do you sit there and watch Elon Musk do that? That Nazi salute, and it not. How can you sit there and not watch that and throw something across the room as you watch that, thinking about the Holocaust, thinking about your family, thinking about all that you've been through, thinking about watching him elevate to the wealthiest man in the world? How does that make you feel?
Disgusting. I thought it was disgusting. I think it was a slap in the face to all of us, everybody. He is out of control. I never would have bought a Tesla. I still will never buy a Tesla. I want nothing to do with it. And I hope there won't be, but I wish there was some, backlash or ramification from it, but it's going to be, oh no, it wasn't a Nazi thing. It was a showing of hope and a showing of solidarity. And look, no.
Where's the outrage? Where's the protest? We've seen less by others, and you guys.
And that's what we got to stop doing, though. We got to stop that this time. We can't get distracted by all the outrage and the outrageous stuff because that law is being passed. All right, that salute, as bad as it was, isn't going to put 1,000 workers out of work tonight, right?
That's
and
right.
we keep getting stuck with this, and then we
No,
argue.
actually, you're wrong. You're wrong, Attorney Carter. It actually is putting workers out. It's allowing that attitude. It's allowing that attitude. If you allow that attitude, then you're gonna and that behavior, then you're going to allow the consequences of that attitude and that behavior.
So you're
and
saying
the consequences of that attitude and behavior is an executive order that's cutting all of these people out of their federal.
So you're saying without the salute, he doesn't do the order? He does. He signed an order.
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we can't ignore the salute. You saying we don't need to be focusing on it.
Because otherwise, all we do is argue with him. He's going to say it wasn't that. He said it was from my heart, right? And so all we're going to do is we're going to spend our time arguing about that when these people end up losing their jobs and
I get it.
people getting fired.
You can't let something so.
I got something from my heart for Elon as well. You know, there we go.
All right, let's rotate on real quick. Let's rotate.
Point, though, is that here now is the time, like this show, like we're Celebrity Court, we're lawyers, but now is the time for creative lawyering. Now is the time for people to dig deep and learn. They're like Brown versus Board of Education playbook into how do you make progress in the face of a hostile government, because that is where we are. So I think what Attorney Carter's saying is, like, the gesture, as offensive as it was, if we spend too much time talking about that and forgetting that these executive orders are coming out that are gutting the constitutional rights of Americans, that we will wake up and find that we spent our time focused on the wrong thing.
Okay, I agree. All right, everybody. We're getting heated in here tonight. Look, the likes aren't liking. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button and invite your friends over to enjoy all of this great dialogue and gossip, as well as teaching you the law. Turn on your notifications. And as always, we love it when we see you down in the comments. All right, we'll come back to some of this later. Let's keep it moving in the meantime. All right, next up, Chris Brown. That's right. All right, next, Chris Brown is taking Warner Brothers to court. He's filing a $500 million defamation lawsuit over claims made in a documentary. Brown says these false accusations has damaged his career as well as his reputation. But in defamation cases, the burden of proof is very steep. Can he back up his claims is what he's got to prove, or is this a long shot for the singer? I'm going to go to you, Attorney Carter, and what I want to know specifically is, what does Chris Brown need to prove, right? Because he's saying defamation. What does Chris Brown need to prove to win such a high-stakes defamation case?
He basically needs to prove that not only is the things that are being said about him in this documentary untrue, but that they are patently untrue, that either Warner Brothers knew or with the most bare amount of investigation would have known that this stuff was false. And that's a high hurdle, particularly for celebrities. You know, think about it. People bring out accusations all the time. If there's any possible truth to them, you should at least, and I'm sure I didn't see the documentary, and that's the other thing, is we'll talk about it in a second, because I didn't even know it was a thing until he filed this lawsuit. But it's like he's got to prove that, like I said, they knew it was false and that they went ahead and ran with it anyway because they wanted to ruin his career and reputation, or didn't care about ruining his career and reputation. You worked in the industry, more than any of us. You know that there's a process they go through, of fact checking, or there's legal that has to sort of sign off on this stuff. Warner Brothers, particularly, this wasn't Pookie and them. This wasn't Tubi, right? This is Warner Brothers, right? They're actually going to check some stuff. And if you look at the background, he has enough other stuff that's legitimate that it's hard for him to say it would be unreasonable to believe that he had these allegations when he has lawsuits filed against him. We got Riri. Right, we got the Riri violence that we all knew about, right? And so he went, he was charged with that. He's got a really high thing, and the real question I think I would ask is why? I didn't even know about this documentary, right? What's it on Tubi? I didn't know. So I don't think it's gonna.
Okay, I'm gonna follow you with that, Attorney Carter. I like the direction that you're going in there. So I agree with you, and I was going to ask Attorney Turner this: the lawsuit, the $500 million lawsuit against Warner Brothers, is bringing more heat to him. because now they're going to release all the evidence that they got. They're going to
Exactly right.
all the evidence that they got relating to all the cases that has ever been brought up about him in order to prove their point. So what you're actually doing, Chris Brown, is you're fanning a fire. You're fanning a fire that, in all honesty, you needed to put it out or make, distance yourself from it. So my question to you, Attorney Turner, is could this lawsuit reignite scrutiny of Brown's past controversies?
He may hope that it reignites interest in his career, right? There's that whole thing that there's no such thing as bad publicity. So if the sign that he was trying to show everybody by suing for $500 million is he wanted to bring attention to it. I don't think that he has any hopes of getting it, despite the fact that his lawyer is mouthing off about how he's been mistreated and how the anonymous accusers should be silenced and they shouldn't be allowed to come forward. As Attorney Carter indicated, Chris Brown has been facing these types of allegations since he was like 22 years old. You can line up the women who've said he's beat them, he's sexually assaulted them, he's done all of these things. And so I don't know if they are true or not. However, Warner Brothers including that in a documentary doesn't shock the conscience like it would have if it was, I don't know, I'm not going to say a real celebrity because I don't want them coming after the show. But not like somebody who was known to be a choir boy. That's not Chris Brown's reputation. That's not even what he sings about. That's not even how he moves, right? So he wanted to bring attention to this. Why? I'm not entirely sure. But he made the other thing that has been commented about. In some respects, Chris Brown has been like Teflon over the years, right? And he could thank Diddy for it because Diddy's the one who stepped forward and saved him when he was accused of harming Rihanna and said that they were just kids. And so he really hasn't suffered the consequences of being accused of as many things as he's been accused of. He's never been canceled, right? And so he may have just decided to roll the dice and sue and see what happens.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's the origin of my original question. To me, he's not reading the room. We're in a phase right now where Black men, specifically in entertainment, in hip hop, are being exposed, are being attacked, are being canceled. So the fact that you're going to start this media campaign that you want $500 million for defamation, to me, is you're not reading the room. You're in a space where people aren't supporting you going after somebody who's exposing who we think you are. That's like Diddy.
Jay-Z just won. So he might be thinking that he's more like Jay-Z than he is
like
but
Diddy.
He's not married.
He's not married with 3 kids. He hasn't been committed to one woman for over a decade now. They haven't built a $2 billion franchise together. He's still that single guy that the ladies love, and he's still spreading all his seed all around. All I'm saying is, for me, if I was his PR strategist, we would not be talking about this in the public, because what's going to happen is now Warner Brothers, who has billions of dollars, has to prove that you are lying and that they are telling the truth. And they're going to do that by digging up all of your past and re-exposing it to the public, because they don't want to pay $500 million, right?
And they're not going to.
We're going to watch all of this unfold. So let me ask you this really quick, Attorney Weiss. Okay, how does defamation law, all right, because this is the law, right, defamation law, how do you balance that between free speech with protecting someone's reputation?
The absolute defense to defamation is the truth. Okay, if you want to say that Judge Reynolds is wearing glasses today on this show and they are wonderful glasses or they are terrible glasses, whatever it is, I crossed the line when I gave the opinion on the glasses, but you are wearing glasses. Absolute truth. That's where it should stop. So if he wanted to say, look, I'm coming out in this movie and there's a lot of BS put out there, that would be fine, right? But it's he's he's going after the wrong thing. Warner Brother, you don't go after the mouth and that the spoon that feeds you, and that's what he's doing. He needed to be on their team, do whatever it is, make whatever waves he wants to get people to watch this documentary. Because just like Sean Carter said, I didn't even know there was a documentary coming out until I read the story. So he's not on anybody's radar. So you want to get on the radar? Do it a way where people are going to be interested.
Right.
And that's not going to hurt you in the end because he ain't going to win.
Right. Takara Tucker says Chris better stop before he sues his way into a jail sentence. Toria Williams says, but yet Chris has never been to court. None of the women ever had him arrested. He's been arrested, sweetheart. He's been to court, sweetheart. If that's Toria Williams, if you're a girl.
So Vanessa said Chris did that with Warner.
Lies against him than truth. Unlike Trump, he is not been convicted. Okay, so that's a whole nother. We can't unpack all that right now, but he's definitely been arrested. He's definitely gone to court. Huh?
He might be reading the room, Your Honor, because guess what? We did just put a convicted felon in the White House who's been quoted as saying he likes to grab women by the pussy, right? So he may be appealing to those people who voted for Trump to say, hey, this is who I am, and maybe I need to expose those people to my music because I got a lot of child
support. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Unfortunately, Chris Brown is too attractive and too successful and has a skin hue of a different type than Trump. And
he's not driving garbage trucks.
Right.
I didn't know we can say the P word on here.
No, you can't.
I put that in every segment from now on.
You can't. I can't.
I hate that word. I don't even know how it came out of my mouth.
It came out so clean. I
know, right?
I was like, okay.
That ain't the first time you said it, girl.
Okay, algoriters. Okay, algoriters. We need you to weigh in, algoriters. Is Chris Brown fighting for justice, or is this lawsuit about managing his public image? Drop down into the chat, algoriters. Let me ask you again. Is Chris Brown fighting for justice, or is this lawsuit just about managing his public image? And the second question is, should media companies face stricter accountability for defamation, meaning like Warner Brothers? Tell us your thoughts using the hashtag Celebrity Court. All right, next up. Oh no, the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators are facing a major scandal as assistant coach Torrin Green is accused of sexual assault. This isn't just a personal case, it's a reputation crisis for the entire program over there with the Florida Gators. With the Me Too movement reshaping workplace accountability, how institutions handle these cases matters now more than ever. Now, because this is in the state of Florida, we're going to throw this to our resident Floridian, Attorney Weiss. What legal defenses could Green's team use to fight these allegations, especially if he's working in that environment where it happens all the time?
So all he has to say is we're the Florida Gators, and I'm kidding. No. So, I mean, look, the truth of the matter is all of this got found, unpacked, and discovered because Coach Todd Golden is under a Title IX investigation. And so now one of his assistant coaches is being brought up on this. So this all came that there was some sort of retaliation against Green because he tried kissing this young lady and tried, putting his hands in her pants and all of this stuff, which unacceptable.
Was she a worker there in the athletic department, or was she a student? What was she? Was she an administrative assistant?
An employee in
the athletic department.
You got it. Yep.
Okay.
And supposedly it wasn't reported immediately because of fear of pushback, because, this coach is, part of a winning team and all of this and all of that. And, nobody would believe this employee. So there was fear. The University of Florida is going to cooperate. They're going to do everything they have to do. We have Governor Ron DeSantis, who I'm sure is going to get involved somehow, some way, and he's going to put his 2 cents in. And the University of Florida says the laws prohibit us from commenting on the existence or status of investigations. They're going to take it seriously. They're going to look into it, all of that good stuff, but they're going to remain silent. And again, this all has to do with a winning season, and their head coach is already under investigation. So when there's what is it? When there's smoke, there's fire.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. All right, so let me ask a question, and I want to be as sensitive as I can about this, but I'm very sincere and cautious in the direction it's coming from, and I'm going to go with you, Attorney Turner.
Oh, thank God.
I got a whole lot of questions today. Okay, now, Attorney Turner, I feel like we have similar moral structures. Meters are about the same, you and I, right? We have similar backgrounds, similar ideas about life and issues and stuff. How do you juggle the Me Too movement, right, with situations like this where, I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but people say you find yourself in jobs that you are attracted to, right? So if you like basketball, you look for a career in basketball. I worked for a sex trafficking organization was stationed all over the country, but the headquarters was in Miami. And what we found was that people that work at our sex trafficking organization were individuals that were in those situations or found themselves attracted to that type of lifestyle. Okay. Many people who work in athletic type environments are attracted to those environments, right? So how do you juggle what would be considered the culture, right? What's the line? How do you juggle the culture of a job space? I know I'm wording this wrong, guys. If you want to jump in here and help me,
look,
how do you juggle that?
Just because you're an athlete doesn't put you above the law. Just because you're a coach, it doesn't put you above the law. I love being around lacrosse and cheerleading because my daughter's a cheerleader and my son's a lacrosse player. But that wouldn't mean that I would want any coach or anybody else to put their hands on either one of my children. My son is 6'3" and 215, so he's going to beat the crap out of anybody that touches him. But I don't want anybody doing that. So just to say you're in the sports environment, I would be okay with, maybe some of the vulgarities that come out of the mouths of players and some of that, but not directed at this young lady. Do not lay a finger on her.
I'm not directing it at her. What I'm trying to get at it here is in those environments, year after year, day after day, you see inappropriate behavior all the time. Okay, it's all the time. It's the crap talking. It's the vulgar crap talking. It's the touching. It's just the culture of the locker room. Let's call it a locker room. So where does the line draw? Is what I'm trying to understand, so that I can be more sensitive. And I'm not saying in this particular case, not in this particular case, because allegedly he tries to put his tongue in her mouth. He puts his hands down in her pants. Now we know that's illegal. Now we're not having that. That's illegal. But also what's illegal is tapping people on the butt when they pass by. What also is illegal is making vulgar sexual comments on the job. So my question is, if you sustain one, is there a line that then says, okay, this is workhouse culture. I can put up with that, but when you put your tongue down my throat and when you put your hand down my pants, now you cross the line. Is that making better sense?
I think what you're saying is this. Do people sign up for a certain level of boundary violations when they work in certain industries? And it wouldn't just be sports. It would also be entertainment. It would be if you're a waitress at Hooters, right? Like, what did you expect? That's the question. And the answer, at least it was till these executive orders got passed and we went back, 50, 60 years, is that there are laws that ensure that workplace harassment is unlawful and the line is the same regardless of industry. But there are different tolerances, I think. I mean, there's an entire groupie culture that's part of sports, right? And so if you're a woman who goes into sports, you probably have thicker skin to some things, but these things went far beyond what anybody should have to put up with.
And if we can get a little more context here, because remember, the original investigation gets the head coach. The head coach was not only dealing with people who are in the industry. He's on Instagram creeping, and then sending out. I'm not going to use shaitan language, but nude pictures, dick pics. All right, and he was trying to be slick too, because he was like, "Dude, I don't know. I am not familiar with Instagram, but I guess there's a feature on most platforms where you can send out an image,
vanish it,
right?" So he's in there vanishing images. And by the way, I've seen this guy. It was going to vanish anyway. All right, it wasn't that much. But the point is this, though. He sent me 3. So anyway, he out there just sending pics. I'm like, that's not appropriate anywhere in the world. It'd be one thing, they had a case a couple years ago of a couple women who got upset in a comedy writing room, and they were like, the language here is coarse. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a comedy writing room, right? And they were like, fine, this is okay. But there's no context in which you can just go out and go on the internet and start sending out.
Listen, let me tell you something. I don't know. I got 11 nephews, and it's like they tell me that if you don't send out certain pictures within the first couple of texts, the conversation doesn't advance. So it's almost
let's ask the algorithms that question.
Well, the algorithms are probably a little bit older, but
good point.
What do you guys? Let's ask the algorithms. So. Male algoriters, female. Well, I could tell our female algoriters don't seem like they would be asking.
I guess not. I got my phone here.
To your point, Your Honor, my old nanny who was out there in the streets, and at the time I was not, so I didn't know what the game was like, but I did learn from her. She was all the time getting dick pics from people, like Attorney Carter said. And I was like, who does this? She was like, everybody. I guess if you're proud and you want an invitation, like it's the equivalent of a Hallmark card. I don't know. But
it's proof of purchase. All right, so every NYC, the MM family said, dick pics, my collection is proof of the insanity. All right, Abby NYC said, call me. Call him.
All right.
One friend, Face One says, "Keep the dick pics to yourself." I'm 54. Angel says, "Don't send me no damn dick pic. Not only will you get blocked, but you get your arse cussed out." NRH78 says, "Don't ask for dick pics, but I've gotten a few." Takara Tucker says, "I mean, a dick pic depends on how you send it." Y'all just send a dick pic with the remote, etc. She said, "Y'all just send a dick pic with the remote, etc. and excitement." Daniel Cameron said, "I might be old because my husband's idea of sexting is, what do you want to do? When do you want to do?"
What's for dinner?
My maintenance says, "Not proof of purchase, Your Honor." Colette Davis says, "No dick pics for me." Tasia Davis says, "I say match the energy." All right, Tasia, I see you. We're not mad. Now, Bernicia Phillips says, I get dick pics all the time. Some are disturbing. I definitely don't want to see no old dick pic. What's an old dick pic? This is an old dick pic from an old person, or old dick pic means from back when they were young,
or just never mind. The old.
I'm blaming all.
I'm not even gonna go down that route.
The guy who delayed my car, who I liked because he used to give me preferential treatment in the garage, he handed me my phone and asked me if I wanted to see pictures of his dog, and he said, just, slide through. So I'm sliding through looking at the dog, and the last picture was his penis. And I didn't know what to do or say because I liked him hooking me up every time I came to the garage, but I didn't want the picture. Yeah, so it was very uncomfortable. And I didn't.
She's like, that's a dog with a bone.
Wait a minute. Daniel Cameron says that I asked my husband for a dick pic. He said, "Who is that?" Oh, God. Oh, gosh. Okay. She said old, long, hanging balls.
Oh Lord, let's go. Let's move on, y'all. Let's move on.
Oh, man. Hey,
I do have one more legal question for this.
Ron DeSantis banned
Oh,
balls that hang from the trucks in Florida, so maybe he'll no balls and dick pics allowed. What can I tell you?
Jason, really quickly, let's bring this back. Could this case lead, though? Because this is what I'm thinking, because Florida Gators clearly are being used as an example. We see that. The writing is on the wall. Could this case lead to stricter Title IX enforcement across college programs now because of this?
100%. 100%. No doubt about it. And look, I understand there's a culture in the locker room. I played sports growing up. I got kids that play sports and in the locker room and what you do, all of that. But at the same time, you're a human being. You got to respect other human beings. And, you don't touch, and you keep your manners. And that's all I got to say.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right, Algorator. So this is a question. Should institutions face harsher penalties for enabling misconduct? Or are we too quick to judge without all the facts? Let us know your thoughts using Celebrity Court, hashtag Celebrity Court. All right, everybody, let's get these likes up. Please hit the like button. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, please hit the share button and invite some friends over to this incredibly ridiculous hanging balls.
Did you see Abby's last comment?
All right, don't forget to turn on your notifications. And as always, you can see we love you down in the comments. Next up, I'm so sad for Rihanna. I just feel like just across the board, hip hop is taking a huge hit with our young, black, rich individuals. A$AP Rocky is rejecting a plea deal. He says, hell no, in his felony gun charge case, and he's gearing up for a high-stakes trial in Los Angeles. Fans are divided. Some see this as a fight for justice, while others think it's a gamble that could cost him everything. We're going to go to attorney Shatan Turner about this because, hey, this is a lovely couple that's growing. They have 2 kids with maybe a third on the way. What does him rejecting the plea deal? Because for me, I was thinking the plea deal could help him turn the page on this really quickly instead of dragging it out and involving his family and Rihanna. And also, we're in a space of cancel culture. So what exactly, Attorney Turner, does rejecting a plea deal put him at a greater risk or at least a less risk of being convicted? What are your thoughts here?
When you reject a plea deal, when someone rejects a plea deal, what they're doing is giving up certainty and rolling the dice with their future. And so that's what he's doing. He would have had a certain sentence that was negotiated by the prosecution, but he'd have to plead guilty. And what they're saying is that he is innocent, which is why he won't accept the plea. Now Rihanna is probably beside herself, right? Because when you're gonna roll the dice, you don't want it to be like you're playing craps at the casino or you're playing roulette, right? You want to do it with some certainty, and you don't have any certainty when you're going to trial. So hopefully for him, he's got strong facts. But if they were really strong, the case would have, if they were as strong as possible, he wouldn't still be facing these charges. And so for him, rejecting the plea deal means that he has the possibility of a 24-year conviction, which means he would not see his children grow up. Rihanna will be with someone else when he gets out, and she will have had an entire life. Yeah, she might be with, well, your wife loves you too much, Sean Carter, but yeah.
She will make room for Riri.
What's she gonna do, Joe? Get out of here, please.
She's gonna get rid of you, Carter, and just take Riri.
She's gonna have Riri. Okay, let me ask this question, because I think based off of what you said, Shatan, I want to ask you this, Attorney Carter. So with that being said, because California has some of the most strict gun laws of all the 50 states. So they're not playing with A$AP Rocky. Like, they can take this stance that I don't care how big of a celebrity you are. we will close the jail door on your ass. So tell me, Carter, in your opinion, what broader implications could this have for someone of such a high celebrity status like A$AP Rocky and Rihanna going against? Because, see, in my mind, this is what I see. I see billionaire celebrities going against California gun laws.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting that they did not charge him with unlawful possession of a firearm. So apparently he must have had some license or whatever to have it, because that's an automatic conviction. What they offered him, though, was interesting. They offered him 6 months in jail, just 6 months in jail. But if you was pretty as A$AP, that could be a long 6 months. But that could be like 16 years in jail. And so he said, hell with that. I'll go with the prison term. And the truth of the matter is he could be facing up to 24 years, but he doesn't have any prior felony convictions. He has a couple of minor convictions, but he's probably not going to get full 24 years. It would definitely be longer than he wants. And I don't know. That's a question I would ask you, Your Honor. You're pretty. Would you do 6 months in jail?
Hell no. Look at me.
No, exactly, right? So he was like, hell no, I'm going for it.
I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to braid hair, and I don't know how to wash clothes.
There you go, right? He's thinking, all I got to do is get one of these jurors, one of them, right, to take my side, right? Just one wink, one look, one nod. Now, his attorney, by the way, I took a look at it, and his attorney is actually a guy named Joe Tacopina. Now, some of you don't remember him. That was President Trump's attorney in New York in the Stormy Daniels case. And so it's interesting. By the way, he lost that case. But he spent some money. Right? He's got the best lawyer money can buy, and he figures, I'm not doing 6 months. All right, I will, if they had made a better offer, 3 weeks or, 2 months, whatever, he might have been able to go for it. But they put him in a position where it's hard for him to agree to 6 months.
I really, it's so much about this, and I'm not supporting anybody going around abusing the gun laws, but this just feels like they're making an example out of him to me. I mean, who got hurt? What really happened? Why are they coming after him? Why are so many resources going to put this young, successful man who's married to one of the most wealthy African-American females in the country behind bars? It's something about all of it. It's not settling well with me. Just like
he did shoot somebody.
No, he didn't. I thought it was a prop gun. They're arguing that it was a prop gun.
No. He shot the guy. He shot at him up to 6 times and hit him once in the hand.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought they were arguing that it was a prop gun.
Somebody was saying that. Mm-hmm.
They are arguing that it was a prop gun.
Yeah, but I think that I have to check. There was some.
The guy had a minor injury to his hand.
Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, look, I don't think this is the first time he had gun problems either. And I think that's where they're coming, because there was one time that he was charged with 2 felony counts of assault from a semi-automatic firearm.
Right.
So
I mean, he had that issue abroad. Remember, he had that issue abroad.
Yep.
I just feel so sorry for him, because it definitely appears that a lot of this heat is coming with association with being with one of the most successful women in America.
I think if they offered him no jail time, he wouldn't care. 5 years, 7 years, 12 years probation. That's it. Suspended sentence. He doesn't want to get jail time, and I don't blame him. I've been there when I've been representing clients and we were in lockdown, and let me tell you, this guy was not happy.
So, Taron, how might his celebrity status influence the trial, you think?
Well, as people are saying in the chat, they think he's banking on his celebrity influencing some of the jurors to think he's a nice guy. If he hasn't alienated Rihanna, he wants her to show up looking pretty, wearing all that good Fenty makeup, and sitting there letting people know, this is my woman. This is who I'm about. She actually has a pretty pristine reputation. So it's not like she's one of these ghetto fabulous female stars that carries with it her own baggage, right? The only thing that's come out negative about her has been she's been a victim a few times, from Chris Brown, and then allegedly Eminem got her free from Diddy's clutches or whatever. So she would be helpful for him, sitting there making people think that he could never have done what they've said. They also, the prosecutors were trying to give him a 7-year suspended sentence, 3 years probation, and then the 6-month jail term. And so it may have been too onerous for him based on what they think that they can get at trial. And, you know, she's from Barbados. They travel there often, right? He probably didn't want anything that was going to interfere with his ability to be with his family.
Right,
and that may be where the deal fell apart. So, but yeah, his celebrity, he's banking on himself. He's self-made, right? And so he thinks that he's the secret to, you know, beating these charges if only he gets in front of a judge and a jury.
All right, so let's ask the algoriters. Algoriters, get down in the chat. Here's the question. Is A$AP Rocky fighting for justice, or is he gambling with his career and freedom and marriage? Ooh, good question. Is A$AP Rocky fighting for justice, or is he gambling with his career and freedom and marriage? Weigh in using hashtag celebrity court. All right, everybody, let's keep it moving. The Los Angeles wildfires continue to devastate communities, with stars like Oprah Winfrey and Jeff Bezos among those losing their homes. I did not know that Oprah lost her home. What happened to the dogs? But critics argue the focus on celebrity losses overshadows the struggles of everyday Californians, who are often hit the hardest.
All right.
Yes.
And you've got family and friends there.
Yes.
How are they doing after the fires?
Some are doing okay, and some are, you know, not doing so great. Yeah.
Well, you know people who've lost their houses?
I'm one of them.
You lost your house?
Exclusive. Yes, I lost my house. I haven't really talked about it, but yeah, I have. I just didn't want to pull a lot of attention to me. I feel like there's a lot of people that need that attention, so I haven't really talked about it, but I can't sit here and not tell the truth that, yeah, we lost our house.
That just makes me so sad. People losing all of that. Attorney Shaitan, let's go back to you on these celebrity fires. The question here that I have, and I guess everyone is, we're hearing these stories that a lot of these homes aren't insured. So what does that mean as far as holding? I just see this. Okay, one thing that we know, I'm just going to break it down. When wealthy people lose stuff, they sue to get it back. All I see is that this is just going to be a whole bunch of lawsuits against insurance companies, against fire prevention, against city government. What claiming negligent? Could lawsuits arise from negligent as it relates to this?
Yes. So the one issue that we talked about when the story first broke is that the resources assigned to the fire department had been reduced because of budget cuts. And so that's going to be low-hanging fruit for people to argue that the reason the damage was so extensive was because the city breached their duty to provide adequate fire resources. I don't know if that's true, but that lawsuit is coming. Now, how much insurance does the city have for those claims, right? So many people have lost these beautiful homes worth multi-million dollars. So I think that money is going to dry up quickly. The other claim that also goes probably to the city, and maybe some county exposure, I don't know if they have duplicative resources as it relates to fire, is whether there was arson at play. Those rumors have been circulating about whether or not there was somebody who intentionally caused this fire. Generally speaking, arsonists tend to be judgment proof. That's a broad reaching statement, but the people who had a lot to lose weren't the ones who were lighting a match and being fire starters. So that theory probably won't get them far unless they can show that there was some sort of constructive or actual notice to the authorities that this person had a propensity to engage in this kind of behavior and they failed to act. So I think there's going to be a lot of lawyers having creative claims. You know, are they going to sue their neighbors who are richer to say that they had a propane tank that wasn't secured and because of that something exploded? I mean, people do a lot of things when they're desperate, and based on the level of destruction we've seen, there's some desperate people who are going to be grasping at straws to try to rebuild.
Attorney Weiss, should wealthier homeowners be held to stricter rebuilding regulations in fire zones?
No, I think everybody needs to go across the board. If everybody needs to play by the same rules, and it doesn't matter. Look, I've had houses here in South Florida where I've had propane tanks put in because of generators and all that. Doesn't matter that my house was bigger or smaller than anybody else's. We all got to follow the same health, safety, and in caring about others.
Attorney Carter, when the president's office, Joe Biden and Kamala, said that they were going to give funding for the victims of the fires here, how is all of those multi-million-dollar funds debited up, and how does it go to the super wealthy just as well as the ones that not wealthy, or just to the super wealthy who are losing their homes?
No, it would go to anyone, I guess, who says, I don't have insurance. Private insurance is pay first. If you lost your insurance, then it would go to anybody, whether you're wealthy or not. And it's interesting because normally that's what would happen. Mm-hmm. The best thing you could ever happen if you happen to have a bad thing happen is have it happen to rich people too. Okay? Right? Right? Because then people will care.
Yes.
Like, for example, the 9/11, right? If those two planes hit a Waffle House in Tennessee, nobody's getting money. All right. Nobody cares. All right. But if you hit a bunch of investment bankers in New York, everybody's going to get some money. Right. And rightfully so.
Right.
Right. And so hopefully the thought is, but here's the problem is, if this had happened 2 months ago when Biden and Harris were still in office, I don't know if Trump's base is going to allow him to give a dime to Oprah Winfrey. And that means that nobody else gets any money either. Right. And that's going to be, I think the problem is that these Hollywood elites that all of his base hates so much, right, that it would be a really bad look on his part if his government was handing out checks, even though most of the checks wouldn't go to them, they'd go to regular people. But the fact that Oprah got some money too would be a problem. And so I'm a little less optimistic that they're going to get the money they probably should.
All right, so this is going to lead to this question that I'm going to ask the algorithms, because that's a good point, Attorney Carter. All right, algorithms, should celebrities' losses shift attention to systemic failures, or is focusing on them an effective way to raise awareness? So, like you said, when it happened to the rich, it becomes a mantra, right? When it happens to the poor, it just kind of has to go away. So what are your thoughts, algorithms? Let me ask the question one more time. Should celebrity losses shift attention to systemic failures, which in this case, they're saying the funding from the localities, or is it focusing on them, or is focusing on them an effective way to raise awareness? I think it could be an effective way to raise awareness here. All right, everybody, let's keep it going as we go into the last topic of the night. Finally, Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is under fire after a TikTok video showed him walking without a boot while recovering from an Achilles injury. Hold on, Bailiff. One second. With a $92 million guaranteed contract, fans and critics alike are questioning whether Watson is faking his recovery or if the backlash is overblown. Let's take a look.
In the boat. This is a Lamborghini, and I went and bought me a tank. Jump on a boat.
Well, he's not moving too much, but okay, let's go to you.
Don't matter. He's supposed to be in a walking boot.
All right, hold on. Let's go to you, Attorney Jason Weiss. Okay, now, like I asked you to do in the chambers, I need for you to break down every single thing that's going on around this individual and why this TikTok video is becoming like this newfound proof that he's not worth the juice or the squeeze of the juice.
So he signed an outrageous contract. After signing that outrageous contract, he was sued by multiple women for sexual assault and other things related to that. This is the massage guy. This is Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
The massage guy. Yep. The massage guy.
Yep.
So, yep. And he got off on 80-90% of those cases.
No, he settled them all out. He paid them all out. He did whatever. He got traded.
He got
He got traded. He went over to Cleveland. This was going to be the savior of Cleveland. He didn't play because he was suspended by the NFL. Then he gets in. Then he gets hurt. Then when he comes back, he's terrible. Then he gets hurt again. And now he's supposed to be in a walking boot so that he could go ahead and be prepared for next season. The Browns have a high pick. They're going to probably go ahead and take another quarterback because this guy sucks as a football player and everything else. He's not good anymore. He's overpaid. They don't want him. And the Browns have an insurance policy on him. So if he doesn't set foot on the field and he doesn't play, the Browns are going to recoup a ton of that money, and it's good for the organization.
But this is a way for them to turn the page with this busted.
100%. And they're going to try to void the contract because he isn't rehabbing and doing what he's supposed to do, and he's going against medical advice, which what Attorney Carter is going to say, Weiss, you're wrong because, and by the way, I hate to do this to you, but that's my boy. But here's why I took a look at the CBA, the contract. The contract says you're right. You're supposed to absolutely listen to medical advice, get yourself back on the field. We're working on the assumption, though, that this dance hurt his leg and he won't be able to be back. The next season doesn't start until next September. If he's back next September, he's fine. Now he has a breach of his agreement, but it's not a material breach. And that's one of the terms of the CBA. It says, basically, if you get hurt doing something you're not supposed to do and you can't play, then they don't have to pay you. But if you don't get hurt and you do what you didn't take your vitamins, but you can still play, but you play badly, they still got to pay you. And so if he can walk out in that field and pass medical clearance and play, he gets his money, even if he sucks, right? Because it doesn't. The bottom line is that what he did wrong didn't stop him from getting back on the field. And like you said, Your Honor, those dance moves weren't. That's not going to keep on the field.
Okay.
That ain't even dance moves.
I got an even more ridiculous question to ask counselors, and don't kill me. It's just on my mind. It's got to come out. All right, this young lady who's all smiling up in his face knows that he has had over 50 sexual assault claims. But she wants to date him.
51.
Okay, but
they all got paid.
Hold on.
They all got paid.
I got it. This stems from it was a offshoot of my last question with the being in this situation. Attorney Turner, I'm coming to you. She knows he has a history of over 50 sexual assault claims against women. She has decided to date him anyway. If she gets sexually assaulted, do we say she's still protected? She got sexually assaulted. She gets all of the law and protection that women in these positions get.
That people get. The laws governing sexual assault cover everybody who has a claim of sexual assault. So yeah, I mean, my grandma would call her stupid, but the law does not allow you to assault stupid people either. So while she's all up in his face doing the dance and everything, he's probably love bombed her and convinced her that all of those people were lying and that he was a target because he's a celebrity. You didn't hear my joke, though, because I was on mute. What I said, you said, didn't he get off on all those other claims? And I said he got off each and every time. That's why he was
And let's be clear, by the way, it's not assault if she's digging him, right? So it's not like
no. My question was, so if it ever goes left,
right?
Well, goes left, and she claims later down the road, because I'm gonna tell you something. He's worth more than $92 million. She could get mad at him one day because he went to the massage parlor and got off with someone else, and she can come back and say, "Oh, I'm gonna get your ass. All I got to do is accuse you of assault because look at all these other cases." So that could be a possible money grab for her.
And he's gonna say, "I beat 50 of them already.
Right,
what's another one?" And he's gonna pay her off.
He's gonna pay her off. I'm just saying.
She's going to be TikTok famous, Instagram famous, social media famous, and she's going to walk away with money.
And pass to the next.
She'll get a book deal, Attorney Weiss, because she'll write about it.
Yep. Hey, it's all good. Writing books is profitable.
I'm in his DMs now. Call me, Deshaun. I got strong hands. I keep good.
Send some of them pics.
You might gotta go get a wig, Sean Clark.
I'll shave the beard for you, Deshaun. Don't worry. We work this out.
He might like the scruff. You don't know.
Exactly. Strong hands.
Maybe that was a problem with the other 50.
Oh my God, this show is going straight to hell. All right, algorithm. Here's the question. Is the backlash over Watson justified? Or is it just another overreaction from social media? Should teams have more control over their players' recovery process? Tell us what your thoughts are. Drop down into the chat. All right, guys, this is the part of the show that we go to you, the jury, to see if you have any questions for us. Doesn't look like we have any questions. All right, let's keep it going. This is where let me see. Let's see if the producer have any notes for us. Jeff Bezos and Oprah donated. What does that mean?
Yes, someone said they were also both in Hawaii during the fire. So.
All right, illegal DEI and deposit. Okay. All right, I think I just want to make sure that we covered everything. Oh, these are the list of people that lost their jobs and everything. All right, let's go to the verdicts. First up. Donald Trump, is he guilty or not guilty? You know what? I wanted to do one more thing with Donald Trump really quickly, guys. Did you guys see where that pastor let him have it at the prayer service? Do we have a clip of that? Just really quickly. I just got to see this.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
So the quick question that I have right here is, this goes back to his deportation, right? And his birthright certificate revoked. Those kids that are born in the United States, they would get deported too.
Based on the new ruling, yeah.
Based on the new ruling. So he's wiping out a whole group of people there.
Yep.
What are our thoughts on this?
That I think the rationale behind it, although I'm not supportive, is to reconcile the conflicts that have occurred when you try to deport parents and their kids can stay. So you have these broken families, and it's a huge problem. And some people have been critical of that for a while because the consequences that compassion results in judges keeping families together, even though the parents are here unlawfully. The problem is that it's not constitutional what he's proposing, because the constitutional makes clear that if you are born here, you are an American citizen.
Soil, you are
period,
American
the
citizen,
end. Yeah, and there's no wiggle room about it. And so how that's going to be enforced without a constitutional amendment is not entirely clear to me. But I think that his plan for mass deportation is probably going to happen soon. and it's going to be for optics, and it's going to relate to
Right.
people
I think
who
all
are
of this-
already detained. And so
Yeah.
you just show up and you take them, and then
And
he can
show
say,
the world
I did
that
this
we're not.
good thing.
We did that. All right, I agree. I want to get to Tremaine P. Rossian's comment. I do not see or understand what that supporters of this man is not seeing. He's legit playing in their face, and nothing can be done. It really is true. It's like, had this been on the other foot, outcomes would be different. All right, so is he guilty or not guilty of trying to rewrite history? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
You say Trump, I'm just going to say guilty.
Attorney Carter?
Guilty.
Attorney Turner?
It's unanimous, guilty.
Yeah, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here, and I'm going to rule guilty. He's guilty of rewriting a lot of stuff, and I got to tell you, it's making me extremely anxious, whether it's for optics or not, because what it's doing, it's giving individuals the ability to treat people that are not on his side bad. And they're using fear as, like, I can't even tell you how, you guys know I fly a lot. Fortunately for me, I'm able to sit in first class. I cannot tell you how the sentiment has changed amongst the privileged now, especially the ones who didn't like us there anyway. They don't give a fuck anymore. Sorry for the language. They do not care. They do not care. If they're rude to you, they don't have to say sorry anymore. Yep. If they say something incorrect, if they say racist stuff, they don't have to whisper it anymore. You know what I mean? They have a new level of confidence and privilege that is going to soil this country, not just for the next 4 years, but I'm going to say for over a decade, if not a century. All right, next up. Sorry, I had to get that off at Chris Brown. Is he guilty or not guilty of making matters worse? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
He doesn't want any jail time, and he's making matters worse. $500 million defamation lawsuit. It ain't happening.
Attorney Turner?
I think he's guilty of manipulating the legal system to promote his own agenda. I don't know what his agenda is, but I think that this is a savvy move in his mind.
Attorney Carter?
I would agree with both of them, particularly with Attorney Turner here, with the idea that, remember, he didn't just file. You can just file a lawsuit and have unspecified damages. He claimed $500 million and make sure that would get to us. Right? He basically should have sent it to you directly, Your Honor, and said, "Look, I want people to talk about this." Because if you just filed an unspecified lawsuit, we wouldn't be talking about it. But he threw in $500 million to make sure, $500 million. Which, by the way, I love this, Chris Brown. You can dance and all, but you ain't $500 million of pop locking. All right, I don't even know how that's.
Well, some people argue that he's better than Michael Jackson. I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I'm going to find him guilty. I'm going to find him guilty of making it worse. I just don't think this is a smart. I don't think it's a smart strategy.
And he's also guilty of getting bad advice. So if he needs a good attorney, you got three right here. That I'm sure we're doing a great job.
I totally agree with that. All right, next up, guilty. We're going to find him guilty. All right, next up is Taurine Green guilty or not guilty of assaulting that worker and violating his Title IX contract? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
So I'd like to hear more, but it's not looking good for him or the Florida basketball program, which really hurts my heart. But I still need to hear more.
Attorney Carter?
It depends on how many games they win this year. Currently, they're the fifth-ranked team in the country. That buys you a lot of leeway. But the problem is the fact that the head coach is doing it just as much as him. All right, it's his assistant coach. It seems like I bet you the ball boy is out there grabbing people by the tussie. It's like it's a bad look for the program. But if you win the title, ain't nobody gonna care at all. But they need to win. But those players need to work, boy. They need to win.
And Attorney Carter said if they win, they can come grab him. So it's all good.
Not me.
Attorney Turner?
I don't know. I need more information like Attorney Weiss, but I do think that the lawyers at Florida State are guilty of not managing this well, because this should have been resolved before it hit the press.
I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm your judge. And here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, I'm going to find him not guilty right now. I honestly, something in my gut feels like he has been thrown under the gauntlet to protect the head coach. I think this is a diversion PR strategy to put the focus on somebody else, because with this assistant coach, we can fire him and say we got rid of the problem. You can't do that with the head coach, and definitely not with these NIL deals. And Florida Gators everybody know that they got one of the biggest pockets of NIL money in all of college football. So you're not going to mess with that coach, because you're going to mess with your money for your foundation and your endowment. But you're going to put that black coach's ass out of there and say, we cut the disease out, it's gone, and we're good. I promise you that's the strategy. Oh my gosh, I'm on it tonight. All right, next up, I'm not finding that black man guilty for nothing, I promise. ASAP Rocky, is he guilty or not guilty of these gun charges? Attorney Turner, what say you?
I'm going to vote for family. I'm voting not guilty. I want this to turn out well for him and Rihanna and their family.
Attorney Carter?
I don't know, but if I had to bet on it, I'd say he's going to get at the very least a hung jury. All right, take that how you want. But certainly, probably a hung jury or acquittal.
Oh, Attorney Weiss, Attorney Carter, you know what?
And Riri will agree.
Attorney Weiss, please help us, please.
I think he's guilty of not having the right lawyer that could get him a better deal, no jail time, and allowed to travel with his family and community service, and he goes on his way, and everybody wins.
Well, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I hate to tell you, all they need is one Shaitan Turner on the jury. He's off. I'm going to say he's playing the right strategy. I think having Riri show up every day in court, looking beautiful, smelling good, and having those babies there, somebody's going to feel the exact same way Shaitan does.
But I'll tell you one thing: I got jury duty on Monday, and good thing I'm not in California, because if I were on that jury.
Okay, so we're going to find ASAP Rocky not guilty. All right, next up, last but not least, Deshaun Watson. Oh, my Lord. Is he guilty or not guilty of hiding his injuries? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
I think he's guilty of being one of the least intelligent people on the planet, who had the world right there and just pissed it all away.
I agree. Attorney Carter, what say you?
Yeah, he's definitely guilty of sucking last season. I can't tell you the amount of money I lost on him. And also, brother, stay off the Instagram.
Please stay off of Instagram. Attorney Turner, what say you?
He's guilty of being a fool. When you're on injured reserve, you should lay low. You shouldn't be looking like you're having a good time, because the fans are pissed that you're getting paid, and the owners are too.
Okay, I'm Alan. I'm your judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. He's guilty of being stupid. I'll say it. No one else wants to say it. Stupid, dumb, stupid, young, stupid. Guilty of stupid. You made all this money. You spent more time being sued by women. Why would you ever still be on TikTok with a woman? Why would you ever be showing your life? You need to be somewhere praying and thanking God that you're getting more chances than the ones that you deserve. My goodness, how can you be so stupid? Anyway, guilty. Go put him behind bars. Too bad we can't put him behind bars. It does not make any sense. These young men make so much freaking money. He had his contract was one of the largest in the history of the National Football League. And then he got soiled with corruption and legal and sexual assault, and you're still out here doing stupid stuff. I would do nothing but practice football every day and go to church, period, so that I can keep my $98 million. Now you're going to be left with nothing. You're going to look up at 30, hoping and wishing that things worked out differently.
And get a dog to chase the bone. There you go.
All right, everybody. Tonight's docket, reminded us that justice isn't black and white. We've said this before, but it's messy, it's controversial, and it's often driven as much by perception, as you can see, as it is by the law. From Trump's executive orders to Deshaun's TikTok drama, every case that we've explored raises one burning question. Who's really winning? The justice system or the court of public opinion? Tonight, I think it's the court of public opinion. But here's where it gets personal, folks. Are we holding our leaders, celebrities, and institutions to the right standards? Or are we too quick to cancel, convict, and condemn without understanding the full story? And let's face it, when power, fame, and influence are on trial, is justice even a possibility? The truth doesn't end here, but it also begins with you. Join the debate using hashtag Celebrity Court and tell us, are we too lenient or are we too harsh? Or just getting it all wrong? Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and most importantly, keep demanding justice we all deserve. Good night, and Celebrity Court is now adjourned. Have a good night, algoriters.